Welcome back to Mad Props. I believe this is episode 69 of Mad Props, but I will not be making any jokes there. It's episode 69, I'm pretty sure, of Mad Props. We're going to do another baseball episode. Now, don't get used to two baseball episodes so quickly back to back. The first one was kind of more of an introduction to the baseball episode. This one will actually be have topics that I'm going to run down and everything. So that's kind of what this is going to be more of. Before we get to all that, make sure you follow us on social media at Mad Props Pod on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X. You can also follow Schnabel Studios on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter/X, LinkedIn, YouTube. Subscribe to the YouTube, or what was the last one? I'm forgetting. TikTok. Even though it's banned, you can go follow us on TikTok. They got 9 months to figure that out, so we'll keep posting until then. So you can go find us on TikTok as well if you'd like to do that. In this episode, we're going to be talking a lot about baseball. So the rundown for this is I have a top 5 list that I said I'm going to do every week. This one's the top 5 closer entrance songs, and I'll explain a little more how I got into that in the first place. The rundown, I got 2 topics to talk about today. We're going to talk about what's happening with the Houston Astros and the Players Weekend being back. And then I know it's not 4, like I said I usually would try to do, but it's 3. My game recap. I had 2 games since the last time I was on here. So we're going to do that as well. Let's get right to it. Let's get to Mad Props. I'm not going to waste any more time because it's just going to be me talking today anyway. So let's get to the intro. Let's do it. This is Mad Props. Welcome back again to Mad Props, another baseball episode. This one will be way more baseball oriented. I don't want to say I rushed it, but it was so introductory that I didn't really talk about everything I wanted to talk about. So this one's going to be way more about what I'm trying to do. If you see me look a little bit, I have all my notes written down so I don't miss a dang thing. So that's what I'm going to be looking at. Again, we're going to go to the top 5. We're going to go through a couple of rundown questions or topics, and then we're going to wrap it up. I'm going to recap my game. I had 2 games since the last time we talked. Hey, if you haven't watched other episodes, by the way, definitely go watch some old episodes. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment and all that noise so we can get more following. So you people that are watching, the people that are listening, if you're the first time, we want you to come back, subscribe. Maybe you'll get somebody cool in the future, and you don't want to miss out on that. And if you're a returner, we want you to do all that so we make sure that we get other people in so we can grow this family. All right, so we're going to start with the closer entrance song. So I came up with this topic. I've been traveling a lot, as most people have heard me say in every episode. I'm traveling a lot. Actually, today, the day I'm recording, I had another baseball game. That's why I've had 2 games since the last time and not 1, because I'm recording this right before I leave again for New York. I'm going to a wedding in New York. Myself and Mary are going to a wedding in New York, I should say. We're going to be spending about a week there, 3 days for the wedding, 3 days just to relax. I'm very excited for it. I have off of work the entire time, so it's just going to be me being able to take some time for myself, and I've really needed it, so I'm really excited. Yes, it's more travel. Yes, I've been traveling like crazy, but this is going to be good. We just traveled to Arkansas to work with Alex Taylor. She is a drag racer. One of the fastest women in the entire world, one of the fastest people in the entire world, not just women, people in the entire world. She is very good at what she does, and she's an awesome person. So we got to work with her, and we did a 2-day shoot. One at a strip, and then one at her garage. And it's gonna be, if you follow Peak Auto, you'll find all that stuff because there's gonna be a lot of good stuff that goes on there. I posted something on Schnabel Studios. You can go check out if you want to see a little bit of behind the scenes, but most of that stuff's gonna take place on Peak Auto's page. So definitely go check that out if you want to see more of what happened in that shoot with Fresh Content Society. So go check that out. Anyway, let's get to it. So we were traveling in this Arkansas. We were actually in Tulsa, Oklahoma, where the airport we flew into was. And I wanted to get a little bit of a workout in. After we went to the strip, we met Alex and her team, and then we went back to the hotel, and I was like, man, I just want to get a little bit of workout. I was going to try to do like a ab session, and I was like, I'm tired. I'm just going to go on the treadmill and do what I got to do. So I was walking on the treadmill. I was watching a video about Mariano Rivera, and it was bringing me back memories. I've seen him enter games so many times as a Yankee fan growing up in New York. We saw him come into games. I actually went to his last game ever at Yankee Stadium, which was a trip. It was so awesome. My mom and I went. My mother and I went, and it was amazing to be there. Like him being taken out, the standing ovation. 60 something thousand people, whatever it is, screaming at the top of their lungs for Mariano Rivera. It's really awesome. It was really cool. So I was watching a video about him, and then after that video, I was watching like Edwin Diaz come in with the Timmy Trumpet song, and I started just deep diving all these different pitchers. So this list isn't like just my favorites that I thought off the top of my head. I will tell you, I watched like 50 closer entrances. Gagne, JJ Putz, obviously Mo because of that video, like Craig Kimbrell, like all these different ones. Those guys aren't even going to be on this list. And they had some electric ones, but these were the ones that I'm listing are the ones that I think were the best, had the best energy, had like the coolest tones. And they really were the best. Now, for copyright reasons, I can't play any of the songs I'm going to say. I will try to link them down below so you can go look for them and listen to them if you'd like. But I can't actually, I can't actually play them because then this will get copywritten on podcasting and on YouTube, and then nobody will be able to watch it. So we don't want that. So I'm going to go through my list. I'm going to tell you why I think it should be where it is. Some of this list may not shock anybody. Number 5 probably will be a little different than most people think. But the top 2 to 3 will probably be what everybody think it is. So I won't talk as much on them, but I will talk mostly on the top of them. So the first one I'm going to put as number 5. I heard it. I'm not a fan of the person, but I heard the song go off and I saw the entrance and the show and everything. And just when I listened to the song, I'm like, man, that's so hardcore of a song to have as your entrance song. The crowd was rocking. It's just you get deep, like not bass, but like the pounding in your heart from the song. So the number 5 is Ryan Presley of the Houston Astros. God's Gonna Cut You Down. That is by Johnny Cash. And if people don't know, it's like a boot stomp and then a clap, like boom, clap, boom, clap, boom, clap. And obviously Johnny Cash's voice, very deep and based. And the energy it brings is just like pure what you want as a closer coming into a game. Like 100% pure what you want as a closer coming into a game. When I watched it, not an Astros fan, Yankees fan, can't stand the team that's beaten us a lot in the playoffs. And I watched it and I'm like, oh my God, this is getting me pumped. Like this is getting me amped. This is sick. This is so cool. Like I can't imagine the atmosphere being there. Like if I'm feeling this way watching some home recording on an iPhone, could you imagine actually being at the stadium when he's coming in during a playoff game, the video I was watching? And man, it just, if you're standing there on deck and he's coming in, I mean, he was a very elite reliever at one point. He's still decent, but if you heard that and he was coming in, man, it would definitely probably get to you a little bit. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was so good. I think it was a lot of energy, and that's why it's my number 5. And most people probably wouldn't even have that in their top 10. And I think it could even make its way to 4. I wouldn't put it in the top 3, but it's definitely top 5. So Kenji Uhara of the Boston Red Sox, 2013 playoffs. He came in the whole year to the song Sandstorm. Now, if you don't know the song Sandstorm, it's like, let me go to the hook. That song there, that Sandstorm. I didn't think this would make my top 5 when I first heard it. Once I listened to them all, I went back to the ones that were on my list. I cut it down to like 10. And I went back and listened to them again. I would listen to the song itself without the crowd noise. I would listen to the song with the crowd noise. And then while I was on the treadmill, I forgot to put this in the story. So I was on the treadmill and I would listen to the songs that they were. And like I would turn it up like I was jogging into the infield and like feel how I'd feel like if this song was playing in the background. Like that's how deep I went into this. I really put a lot of research into this thing. And I didn't think it was gonna make my top five, but once I really did the no noise and then the noise and then the mock going into a game on a treadmill, I was like, this song's electric to go into. And the Red Sox fans were going nuts when he went into the game. He was a very, very good closer. Did not throw hard. I don't even think he hit 90 most of the time. Very good closer, hard to hit. And that song coming into the game, it wasn't as much of a like heart stopper and thumper. It was more of just like coming in with a lot of electricity and getting the fans on their feet so they can be behind you when you're trying to get the last three outs of the game, which are the hardest three outs to get. So it was really good. It's funny that the first two are two teams that I don't like, the Astros and the Red Sox, but I do think those were the top two. Now we're going to get into the last three. So last three will probably be more predictable. I'll still talk about why I like them so much. So Narco by Timmy Trumpet for Edwin Diaz is kind of what got me on this. I mean, like the Mariano video definitely got me into looking into the closer stuff, but this is what really got me onto this subject. I watched the one where he did it live, and then I watched the one, there's another one where it's not live. It's just him coming into the game and how electric it is. It has a really good combination of being electric and getting the fans into it, but also enough bass to where like it's really hard thumping. And I think that's what you really want in a closer's song. You want something that's really heart thumping, heart pounding. You know, you're coming into the game, you're trying to bring the energy, but you're also trying to say like, you don't want to go against me. Like I'm going to get you out. And when that became big, the Timmy Trumpet song became big with Edwin Diaz, he was striking everybody out. I mean, his strikeout per nine was like 17. He averaged like 2.5 strikeouts per inning. Wait, he only pitches one inning. So he was just unbelievably good. So I think that factors into the song as well, right? Like you hear that song and you know who's coming in and you're like, oh gosh, I got to go against this guy. And that song is just so perfect for not only the player. I mean, for Edwin Diaz, it's a great song, but I think it has the right amount of energy and bass to really get the heart thumping, but also the crowd just going wild. And obviously has an antic to it as well, where people had the little trumpets or would play the trumpet or something like that and like really get the fans into it. So the Timmy Trumpet song Narco is number 3 with Edwin Diaz for me. So this will get a little controversial because a lot of people have this flipped. I'm going to say, let me go with number 1 first because I don't have as much to say. I already talked about it a little bit. Enter Sandman by Metallica for Mariano Rivera is my number 1. 2 reasons. 1, I think it's an electric song and it's called Enter Sandman, like putting you to sleep, putting the team to sleep. It couldn't have been for a better pitcher. I mean, there's a reason he's the only player in MLB history to get voted into the Hall of Fame at 100% clip. No one else has ever done that. And there's always, the age-old stat, more people walked on the moon than have scored on Mariano Rivera in the postseason. It's just, he was so unbelievably good. With that cutter that he threw about 93 to 95% of the time. He was just so unbelievably good. And when that song came on, it was heart thumping. It has a lot of energy, right? It has a ton of energy. It's heart thumping, but also like when you hear do 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 do, like that first bass lick hit, you're like, oh no, like, well, we're down 1, and that's probably how it's going to end because the greatest closer in the game is about to come into the game, and he's probably not going to let us score. So that's why it's my number 1. Also, as a Yankee fan, obviously, I have a little bias, but even without the bias, I do think just the person that it was for and the song that's actually played, I think is just so good. But that brings me to my number 2. I know I flipped it a little bit. My number two is Hell's Bells for Trevor Hoffman. Now, for people that don't know who Trevor Hoffman, he actually broke the saves record before Mariano broke his saves record. He hit the plateaus first before Mariano did. He was the closer for the San Diego Padres. He was just one of the top closers in the late 90s, early 2000s, and he came in Hell's Bells, which I will say. So I watched a couple. I did the same tests I did for all of them. I did listening without, listening with the crowd, and then doing my little mock walk-in. And all three of them, like, it sent chills down my spine. Thinking of the situation and that first dun, 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 and I'm like, oh man, could you imagine the place the thing with, so Enter Sandman and Hell's Bells and even Narco compared to all the rest of them. So I watched, I think, like 20 to 5 of them. And the difference between the other 17, let's say 20, the other 17 and those three is from the first note, the crowd erupts. And I know one is because they know who's coming in. And that's why that player has so much to do with the top three. Like Edwin Diaz had one of the best closer seasons. He had like a top 5 closer season in the last how many years, right? Mariano's the greatest closer of all time. Trevor Hoffman was the guy that set all the records before Mo came and broke them, or went on to break them, I should say. They played around the same time, but he went on to break them. Like, the first note hits and the crowd goes nuts. And that's what makes the hair stand up in the back of your neck. Like, this is crazy. This is amazing. So when the first bell hits in the live one, the crowd erupts. And I can't imagine being a batter standing in the on-deck circle as the first bell hits and then the second bell hits, and then now pitching for the San Diego Padres, Trevor Hoffman. And, like, the crowd is just going freaking berserk. It was just, I couldn't imagine being in the stands. I couldn't imagine being the batter getting ready to face him. And I couldn't imagine being him. Like, that probably got his blood rushing through his body, because he was just ready to go in and shut the door on whoever was coming up against him. So that's why I have him number 2. Obviously, 1 and 2 are known as some of the greatest ones. Hell's Bells has been reused many times by many different pitchers. It's just such a good closer song. I personally think that's another reason that goes number 2 and Mo goes number 1, because not a lot of people use Enter Sandman. Like, I know Billy Wagner did. And it's probably some other pitchers did as well, but, like, I mean, there were a lot of pitchers that used Hell's Bells after Trevor Hoffman, because I don't know if it's necessarily because of Trevor Hoffman that they did it. I think it's just such a good closer song. So I put Moe's as number 1 because people did not try to emulate it, because you can't emulate Mariano Rivera. You could emulate Trevor Hoffman. He had a lot of longevity and he was very good for a very long time, but you can emulate him. He was not unhittable. Mariano Rivera was unhittable, completely unhittable. He was so good. It was amazing. So those are my 5. Number 5, Ryan Presley's "God's Gonna Cut You Down" by Johnny Cash. Number 4, Koji Uehara, Sandstorm. I don't even know who Sandstorm is by. I know the names of everybody else. I don't know the name who sings or performs Sandstorm, because I guess you don't sing it. Number 3, Narco, Timmy Trumpet for Edwin Diaz. Number 2, Hell's Bells, AC/DC for Trevor Hoffman. And number 1, Enter Sandman by Metallica from Mariano Rivera. That's my top 5 list for this week. I thought that'd be a fun one to bring. I know some people might want the power ranking stuff back. I'm not sure if I'm going to make that a weekly thing, or I should say a bi-episode thing, because this isn't going to be weekly. But that's kind of what we're thinking. So, speaking of Ryan Presley and the Astros, no, I'm just kidding, but we're going to go to the Astros. I thought this would be a fun one to break down a little bit, because the Astros have been really bad. And people are like, what's going on with the Houston Astros? It's really simple. I'll break it down just a little bit. We're not going to go into too much detail because once you see how simple it is, you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's why they stink. They stink because of this reason. So the Astros of this recording, which is April 25th, are 7-19. 7 wins, 19 losses. They are one of the top 10 worst teams. I believe they were number 6 or 7 worst teams in MLB. Now, here's the thing. Altuve is doing Altuve things. Hitting in the like 350 or 340. He has the most home runs on the team. He's doing what he usually does. Actually, there's a couple guys. Pena has a high average. Yordan Alvarez is hitting a lot of home runs. Kyle Tucker is being a stud as he usually is. The offense is not the problem. It's the other side of the ball that's the problem. The pitching has been one of the worst complete staffs in all of baseball, which is crazy because Javier is very good at the top of the order. They just got Verlander back, and can't believe I can't remember the last. There's 3 pitchers. I should have wrote that down. Doesn't matter. There's 3 pitchers that are pretty good, right? They're pretty good pitchers, but the rest of them have been awful. Here's some stats to back that up. 28th as a team in ERA. It's over 5. It's 5.07. 3rd in hits allowed. 2nd in earned runs. 2nd in walks given up. 3rd in the 3rd highest whip. 3rd highest average against. Now the offense is top 10 or top 5 in almost every category. The pitching is bottom 5 in every single category. That is very important. It's not just the pitching, though. The biggest thing has been the bullpen. The starters have had some problems. The back-end starters, I should say. Front-end starters have been great. Back-end starters, though, they've had some trouble. But the bullpen has been very bad. And the guy that's been probably the most disappointing is Josh Hader, which is a big problem if you're an Astros fan, because he was supposed to be the guy to come in and save that bullpen, which was not good last year either. They had his struggles last year. That's why they brought in Josh Hader in the first place, because they really wanted that guy that can shut the door. Well, Josh Hader is 4th on the team, 9 runs given up. Remember, he only comes in for 1 inning a game. He's given up 9 runs already. Like we said, they are 7-19, so they played 26 games. That's a lot of runs to give up for a guy that comes in. He probably came in those 26 games. He probably has come in maybe half of those. I don't think he started. Yeah, he did, because he played against the Yankees. So let's just say half of those he's come in. That's 13 games. 13 games, 9 runs is a big deal. That's a lot of runs to give up in that many games. And if you're going to have your best reliever doing things like that, that's not going to win you a lot of games, and that's why they're 7-19. Do I think this can change is the real question. And I don't have any notes for this. This is going to be completely off the top of my head based on the research I did and the explanation I just gave of the team. I think they can turn it around as a team. 2 reasons why. 1, they just got Justin Verlander back. That's going to give them 3 good pitchers on the top of that rotation. By the trade deadline, if they're hovering around, they may even go get another starter. There's going to be another starter out there. Oakland's going to give up. I mean, Sears is pretty good. And who's the other one? They got 2 starters they're pretty good. I can't think of who the second one is. They got two good guys. JP Sears is the one that probably will be, if they're going to look to keep building the way they're doing, that's who they'll probably look to move. But there'll be some other teams as well. I was going to say someone on the Rockies, but the Rockies are the worst in every category. So you don't want anybody on that team. The Marlins might be another one to go look at for some pitching. They have some very good pitching. I mean, you're not going to get Cabrera or anything like that, but you may be able to get some of their back end guys. They always have good pitching. Their pitching's pretty good this year. The offense just stinks as usual. So can they turn it around? Yes. That's number 1. Offense has been really good. If the offense is clicking, all you need is the pitching to start clicking a little bit. If the pitching becomes mediocre and the offense is above average, you're going to be good. You're going to be a good team. That's just how it is. Can you make it through the postseason? I don't know. But will you get to the postseason? Most likely. Because You just need one to really excel in the regular season to really make it that far through. The last reason I'll say they could still do pretty well, the West stinks. The obviously the Texas Rangers, the World Series champions, they did the same thing last year where by the midway point they weren't really that great, and then they kind of went on a tear and they won the World Series. But between them, the A's, who are they're not even the worst team in baseball. The A's. The A's actually are 10 and some, like they're pretty close to 500. We could talk about who the worst team in baseball is, but I'm not going to talk too much about that. I'm just going to say how much of a joke they are. But the Mariners haven't been anything great. The Rangers haven't been anything great. And the Astros haven't been anything great. So the division's still wide open. I think the Astros are in last in that division. And they're only in last by like 5 games. Like from first. So they could still do that. And there's always trades to be made, especially with the Astros. They have a good farm system. They have plenty of things to give up. And their offense is clicking. So, yes, they can turn it around, but right now they do not look that great. And if the pitching continues the way it is, and if Justin Verlander comes back and is not that good, he had a start tonight, which is April 25th. He had a good start tonight. Gave up 2 runs. They lost to the Cubs 3-1. If he comes back and he looks bad like he did in his minor league rehab starts, then they might be in trouble. But we'll see how it goes. I guess we can add that. Just a tiny segment. The worst team in baseball is the Chicago White Sox. They have won 4 games, something like that. They're a joke, the Chicago White Sox. What I mean by that is they tried really hard to build one way, which is the same way like the Tigers did it, where they just went and got everybody good. They're like, just get all the good guys, put them with our young guys. We can go to the World Series. It worked for the Tigers. Works when you get Prince Fielder and Miguel Cabrera. That organization is comparable with their young guys to the Yankees in the 2017 to 2021, 2020 range. The Yankees with their young guys, they would not give up on young guys. Let's say 2016 to 2020 range. There were young Yankee players that could have been dealt for really good names. But the Yankees swore by these players. We're talking about the Miguel Andújars, the Estevan Florials, the Gary Sanchez's, who obviously I would say Gary Sanchez was a hit as a draft pick because 200 home runs. He was very good for a couple of years. He kind of fell off, but it happens to baseball players, especially catchers. He was unbelievable defensively. He had a cannon of an arm. So I don't really consider him a miss, but what I do think is they held on to him too long. Like the downfall was pretty clear early on, and he still had value, and they just would not give up on it. They would not give up on it, even though they should have moved on earlier. But that was always their problem, is they can't move on early from these prospects, and the prospects they hype them up so much because they want to give them all this trade value, and then they go to the trade deadline and they don't trade them, and then they stink. They're quadruple A players. And you're like, well, you had all that trade. Like Miguel, there was a point where when Garrett Cole was on the Pirates, they wanted Miguel Andújar. There was a couple of the prospects in there. No crazy names, but the big name was Miguel Andújar. Miguel Andújar, first of all, then went to the Pirates because he got cut from the Yankees because he wasn't that good. He was a good hitter. I think when he dislocated his shoulder, it ruined his career. But think about it. Miguel Andújar, Garrett Cole, who's now a Yankee, has been one of the best pitchers in the last 7 years. And they wouldn't trade Miguel Andújar because he was too sought after of a prospect. Well, if you want to move on, sometimes you got to move on from those guys. I'm not saying sell the farm either. Don't think I'm saying sell the farm. I strongly did not want them to trade Dominguez. I strongly did not want them to trade Volpe. I was like, those 2 guys need to stay on the team. But Peraza, Cabrera, when he was coming up, when he was a big prospect, I like Cabrera. I'm glad he's on the team. But they could have moved on from those guys. Those guys, They could have brought in some players that they really needed with those guys, and I don't think it would have hurt the farm system as much as they think. But I'm not a GM. That's just my opinion. Okay. So the second topic I have, that's not what I was just talking about. The second topic I have is players' weekends coming back. Now, I'm not going to go too deep into this. We're just going to kind of talk about what's coming in on players' weekend, what it means, like what they're going to have. I will be reading this, so sorry if I'm looking down. But so there's going to be 3 days of players' weekend. So the first players' weekend happened from 17 to 19. I'm pretty sure it was. I know it happened in 17. I know it happened in 17 when Judge hit the 52 home runs. They made the Dodgers and the Yankees wear these ugly uniforms. Two of the most iconic uniforms they put on national TV in these butt ugly uniforms. That's all I'm going to say about that. That was Players Weekend. You got to put your nickname on the back, and no one did. Because why? You want your name on the back, man. You made something. You persevered, and you pushed your whole life to make your name known and have it on the back of a jersey. And for the Yankees, they don't have names on the back of the jersey, so a lot of them wore their name because it's the only time you'll ever be able to wear your name on the back of a Yankee jersey. But like, it was just dumb. It was just dumb. Anyway, and a lot of the players were like, yeah, I could have picked a nickname, but I just put my name because like I've never been able to wear my name on the back of a jersey. I worked hard for my name to be back there. Anyway, they were ugly. It was a dumb idea. But anyway, this one coming around is 3 days. And like, this is the way it should be done. Okay. So the first day is the fun day. It's Friday, August 16th, where players get to show off their personalities. We'll go a little more into each one after I talk about each one. Saturday, August 17th is for causes, and Sunday, August 18th is for appreciation. Okay? This is how it should have started, by the way. This is how it should have started from the beginning. So the fun day, players will be able to show off their personalities more with on-field apparel, custom cleats, custom cleats, custom gloves, custom bats, custom everything. And I believe they're even going to let them do custom hats in this time. That's awesome. Like, show off the player personalities. I want to see, like, let's talk about Gary Sanchez again. The Kraken bat, if he was still playing. I think he is. I think he was with the Padres. If he has, like, the Kraken bat to play with, like, that's what I want to see. I want to see things that they usually find guys for that really shows off how, honestly, in that fun day, the Yankees should let guys not shave. Let it happen for a week. The whole week, you don't have to shave. Show off your personality. You want a goatee? You want a mustache? Do it. Want a little longer hair? Do it. For 1 week. Although I think that rule's really dumb. Doesn't matter. The next day is for causes. So it's the same thing. Your bat, your gloves, your wristbands, your shirts, all that stuff is going to be what your cause is, whether it's your foundation or a foundation that means a lot to you. They're going to be able to show that off and really push those foundations on national TV when they're playing with, the Make-A-Wish Foundation on their cleats or the whatever Swings for the Fences Foundation. I don't know if that's a real one, but it might say it across your bat. So like when now somebody's watching, they see your bat, they're like, oh, I need to know more about this because Mike Trout has it on his bat. So, and then they'll probably auction all this stuff off, by the way, I'd imagine, because they got to make money on it. And then appreciation is for players get to celebrate people who help them along their way. When I first saw this, I thought it was like you have to, Jackie Robinson or something, but it could be anybody. So like, they can have a cleat that has their dad's face on it or like their best friend's face or something like that. So I think that, or, maybe their best friend helped them their whole life and passed away and they want to honor them. Like custom cleats, everything's going to be customized. No fines for anything being worn as long as it fits with the profile of what it's supposed to be. So appreciation, causes, and fun. As long as it fits into that profile for those days, you can have whatever you want. I'm not going to go too much into this because I know people that are listening are probably like, this is great. This is what they should be doing. That's exactly what I'm going to say. They should always do this. First of all, you should always be able to support causes and stuff like that, but I understand uniform rules and whatever. But this is great. MLB, good job. That's all I'm going to say. MLB, good job on this one. This is how it should have been done in the first place. The stupid jerseys were dumb. The worst part about the jerseys is it wasn't even for the players. The jerseys weren't for the players. And if they tell you they were, they're lying. The jerseys were made so they could sell different jerseys and make more money. That's all it was for. I don't care what they say. That's all it was for. Anyway, good job, MLB. I like this. Even though you're going to auction them off, make more money. It doesn't matter. Love it. I hope 100% of the causes one goes to the causes, but that's for another day. The last thing we're going to do is talk about my game recaps. I know this is the best part of the podcast for most people, including myself, right? I love talking about my games. So for those of you that don't know, I play for a team called the Dallas Orioles in the Northern Texas Amateur Baseball League. So a little background, I am playing third base. I'm starting at third base for this team, and I didn't really play third base growing up. I played third base a lot in 2017, I think it was. For a team in Boston that I played for another amateur men's team in Boston. I basically played left field, first, and third for them. Played a lot of third for them in that league. And then I would start in different leagues at third or second and stuff like that. And like now I'm starting every game at third base. And it's kind of new for me. It's been a while since I played baseball as well. So like going out there and playing a position that wasn't really my primary. First base, catcher, and left field were kind of my primaries, and now third base is the primary position I'm playing here. We talked about the first couple games. I struggled a little bit just because it was all new team, new situation, new place, new position, all that stuff. But the next two games, defensively, much better. So let's go over game one. First of all, game one, hitting-wise, was not my favorite. It was not my favorite. I went over two strikeouts. Both strikeouts one was looking at a pitch way off the plate. But that's what you get in men's leagues. You get off the plate strike calls. It's just unfortunate, but it happens all the time. So you got to deal with it. So that was number one. And then number two was swinging at the pitch that I struck out on in the first at bat because I didn't want to strike out again. So that was unfortunate how it goes, but that is how it goes in men's leagues. The strike zone is usually not that great, so you got to just kind of adjust and hope for the best. So that was the 0 for 2 game. I had 2 putouts. Nothing crazy to go over in the field. No, nothing crazy. Just 2 putouts. We did lose that game, unfortunately, but we'll go to the next game because it was a much better game. 1 for 2 with a single, a run, 2 walks, and 4 putouts, and a win, 5-3 win. That happened today on the day we're recording. It was a good one. It was a good one. I grounded out to short as well. That was the 1 for 2. Base hit up the middle, kind of a soft line drive that kind of just bounced in the middle. Ended up scoring on that. Wild pitch a second, walk to third, ground ball scored me on the last one. 2 walks, which is unbelievable. I think I'm up to 4 or 5 walks on the season now, which is crazy. For people that have ever seen or heard me about me playing, very free swinger. To have this many walks is pretty great. I love knowing that I've had the good patience and the discipline and the eye at the plate. It's been really good. But the big story to come out of this one is before the season started, I got this new bat. I got a really nice bat, a Mizuno bat for this season. Kind of spoiled myself. I'm like, yeah, going in, new season, new team. Let's get a really nice bat. Well, on my base hit, it broke. So I was very upset when I asked, like, is it broken? Someone said yes. I was standing on first, like, you got to be kidding me. So then I was analyzing the bat when I got back to the dugout. And then when I was in the car afterwards, I'm looking at the bat because I put it in for its warranty, which it's supposed to have. The base hit that I hit, it was weak and it looked weird probably because it was an inside pitch, a little jammed, but I hit it back up the middle and I was looking at the spot where it hit. It hit it right around the sweet spot. And I'm like, this is like a good bat. This wasn't a cheap $20 bat that I bought. It was a good bat, good money on this bat. Shouldn't have broke from this hit. And so I put that in the description, and well, maybe next podcast I'll keep you updated on if Mizuno gets back to me about this bat because They should, because it broke on a sweet spot hit, and that's crazy. So on the year, the team is I think we're now 2-1 or 3-1. I'd have to think back because I did fill in for another team. 0 for 2 with a fly out and a ground ball up the middle. Smoked the ground ball up the middle. The pitcher just nagged it, and then fly ball to deep center. Got out on that one. So I don't know if we're 2-1 or 3-1, and I won with that team as well. So on the season, I'm either 3-1 or 4-1, and with the Dallas team, I'm 2-1 or 3-1. So it's been a good season so far. I can't wait for more updates to come, and you can follow along as much as you want. I keep the stats myself, so maybe at the end of the year we'll go over how my season went. As long as I don't stink for the rest of the season, we can go over how the season went and how we finished and everything. But I enjoy being able to talk about my games like that, and I hope everybody likes listening to that too. This has been a great baseball episode. Remember to follow Mad Props on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter at Mad Props Pod. You can also find us at schnabelstudios.com/madpropspod. You can listen to new podcasts, watch new podcasts, find our social media, read articles. There's so much you can do at schnabelstudios.com/madpropspod. You can just go to schnabelstudios.com. You can now see videos that we've done with Schnabel Studios. It is on the page, so definitely go check that out if you want to see more about what Schnabel Studios is all about on the video side. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Make sure you like, subscribe, comment to the YouTube page. The more we get, the better we do. Make sure you check out some of the shorts. We've been releasing a lot of shorts on YouTube as well. So check those out and let us know what you think. Give us a comment on those if you think they're really good. There's going to be a couple of baseball ones. There's been a Justin Verlander one and a Nate Lowe home run and his minor league stint as well. So definitely go check that out if you want to see some good baseball content on there. And there'll be more coming as we do more baseball as well. So definitely go check that out. And check out Schnabel Studios. We've been sharing a lot of different video. A lot of different work, a lot of behind the scenes. It's a lot of fun stuff to see. So definitely go check out Schnabel Studios if you haven't already done that. And go ahead and like those pages, because the more we can like those pages, the more I feel obligated to post for everybody. So the more people we get following, the more people that I will do that. So definitely do that. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast if you're not already, either on YouTube, or go subscribe on whatever you like to listen to with your podcast, whether that's Apple, Spotify, Good Pods, or you just want to listen on the website. Make sure you subscribe to the RSS feed. All right. Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been a pleasure to talk baseball once again. I'm glad I got to do a little more of a deep dive this time, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. We will see you next time. Probably be a solo episode because I'm out of office. I'm out of office until the 2nd, which is Thursday. So I can't promise that I will not be unless there's a miracle that happens on that Thursday. It'll probably be another solo episode, but I don't know what it'll be about. So we'll see next time, right? We'll see you next week. Thank you guys for listening. It's been Mad Props. See you later.